Hey everybody, it's Gomedex and welcome back to another premiere draft of Modern Horizons 3. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. We have a very strong pack here. I like the mono card removal spell, Galvanic Discharge, obviously at its best in blue-red or red-white, the energy color pairs, but this is very playable even in Rakdos artifacts, some red-black stuff, and some red-green Eldrazi. So this is just a great removal spell I'm happy to play in any red deck. Also, Malevolent Rumble here, which is great in those Eldrazi decks, and a decent value play in any green deck. Some really good two-color commons here, the Watchdog and the Gargoyle, but they're much more restrictive, as they both fit into exactly one color pair. The Refurbished Familiar is good in black-red artifacts, the Unfathomable Truths is good in any blue ramp deck. The commons in this pack are just tremendously good. The uncommons are okay too. Aberration is a fine card for Eldrazi strategies if you have consistent access to colorless mana. I love taking removal early, and that's what I'm going to do there. With a Galvanic Discharge. Pick number 2, we have a Glyph Elemental for a great aggressive white spell. This fits really well into any of the white decks, as pretty much all of them are aggressive. Red-white energy aggro, blue-white energy tempo aggro. Black-white is like a modified kind of strategy. It's about having like counters or I don't know. Black-white's a little weird, but it's usually aggressive. And then green-white is like +1/+1 counters aggro. But Glyph Elemental is just a really good white card in general. Would go great with Discharge into a red-white deck. And again, flexible by going into any white strategy. There's also Larva here. I do like that card a good chunk. That's pretty good. Horrific Assault in green. But let's go Glyph Elemental on that one. Pick number 3. Metastatic Evangel is very fun with +1/+1 counters to proliferate. With cards like Glyph Elemental, this also proliferates your energy, so it's nice in red-white. Savine's Reclamation is fun but inconsistent. Only really works in the late game, but it could theoretically give you good value in the late game. Solid removal spell with Thraben Charm. So pretty good white spells here. I think the white spells are good enough to not be too impressed by the decent off-color cards like Ether Spike, Tune the Narrative, maybe Cursed Wombat, Skittering Precursor. I go Evangel over Reclamation here. Walking on white here with Mandibular Kite now. 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, and you can move this equipment around later to give +1/+1 flying to anything in the late game. Really, really nice. If you remember Dragoon's Lance from Final Fantasy, this is a lot like that. So a really good card for aggressive white strategies. This is an incredibly strong pack, though. There are 2 really good off-color removal spells, the Slice and the Fell the Profane. The Slice does go into the same deck as Discharge, so that's higher pick than Propane here. There's also Serum Visionary for a good value play. Really good pack, but I'm going to go for the Kite there. We had a solid blue-black Signpost uncommon here. Solid green-white common, obviously a little weaker than the uncommon, but much closer to the colors that we're currently on. And I think Watchdog, the kind of green-white counters deck, we've got some pretty good cards towards it right now. The Elemental also caring about counters, the Evangel proliferating. I don't mind the Watchdog, but the Slith also works really well with our picks so far, and it's more flexible. This would fit into any of the white decks. Doesn't have to be green-white. But we're seeing a lot of Watchdogs flying around, so if there's any specific color pair to play with the white, it's probably the green-white. We'll take this Watchdog and see if we get some more. Emissary of Soulfire is fine in blue-white energy. Or there's Gift of the Viper, which is a solid trick in green-white. Permanently modifying whatever you put this on is great. And then Terramander is a really good card, but black-white is not a super artifact deck that's really red-black. I'll speculate on Emissary. I'm not going to take that as the biggest signal in the world to be in blue. The Electrozoa here over Terramander. I just feel like a blue-white deck making good use of Electrozoa is much more likely than a black-white deck being particularly excited about the Terramander. And we did just pick up that Emissary. Okay, and then a pick 9 Gargoyle. Might be a little boring, might end up in the exact same deck twice in a row. We could take the Watchdog as well, but we literally just got the Signpost uncommon and the Signpost common like 2 picks away from each other. Feels like as good a signal as any to hop in on the blue-white energy. But the Watchdogs are flying around, so we could have probably hopped in on green-white as well. play this Reclamation here. I actually think Thraben Charm's just better, and I have like no interaction yet if I'm just blue-white at the core. Just don't think this card's very consistently impactful. We're on literally all creatures right now. Let's get removal. Okay, the Watchdogs luckily stopped wheeling, so somebody was interested in them. But we don't know if anybody was interested in these blue-white cards. Pack 2 pick 1's a pretty big bummer. No on-color rare or uncommons. So that puts us down to some interaction at common, Dog Umbra, for a pacifism with flash, or Ether Spike for the energy counterspell. We'll take the energy counterspell here. Dog Umbra is not a card I'm massively high on in this format because there are plenty of creatures with really good abilities, and Dog Umbra does nothing to shut off abilities. Demon Inferior plays quite well. It is at maximum 3 mana. So 3 mana puts something back second from the top. It's already pretty good. But if you just have one random bit of incidental card draw, this costs only 2. I'll take that over another Slith this highly. I already have 4 2-drop creatures, and we've just started pack 2, so we'll grab a Demon Inferior and make sure we get some non-creature spells. Again, that first pack was basically entirely creatures. Here's another Thraben Charm for us. Another Riddlegate Gargoyle. Better than Dog Umbra. Could take the risk of trying to wheel it. It's a pretty big risk at this point, though, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Somebody would be very close to just hate drafting it at that point, even if nobody's in blue-white. There'd only be like 4 cards left, which would be like Foul Strike, Wave Breaker, Siege Smash, some really unplayable stuff, so I think I just need to take the better card there. Another Ether Spike over another Thraben Charm. It's been a really simple pack. There's been like one good card in each of these packs for our color pair. Seems a little contested from this direction, but based on how pack 1 went, pack 3 should be where we get a bit of a more open path with more options to choose from. See, like right now, we just rare draft. To be fair, this pack's pretty awful for everybody except the Eldrazi player gets a Tusker. The Eldrazi player gets a fine filler card. The Boros player gets a fine filler card. Everybody else is unhappy. Just rare draft. Uncommon. Okay, this is much better. Mandibular Kites. Razorgrass Ambush. Even the Rush of Inspiration for a random red duel. That's still castable if we don't need the red mana. This might be a good spot for speculative fixing, but I do really like Mandibular Kite, and I haven't got to play with it at all so far this return trip, so let's get a couple copies here. Guardian for our first 4-drop creature. Slap it in there. Wheel a Dog Umbra. Wield the 2 mediocre white removal spells in this pack. Wield the Hexgold Slith. Let's go. White seems plenty open. So I guess maybe blue was a little contested here. Maybe some Eldrazi players in like blue-green. Blue-red can also be Eldrazi. Just play all 3 of the colors as well as a possibility. Wavebreaker's really not where it's at. Alright, pack 3. Open up a cool on-color rare. Not really. So very expensive Heroic Reinforcements, and Heroic Reinforcements is already just not very good in a 1v1 draft, because more often than not you're countering like 1 removal spell with it, which is fine. But nothing that exciting, especially not for 4 mana, and especially not for sacking another creature. So Flare Fortitude, clearly not a card designed for 1v1 draft. That's like a commander card, so you can play around a board wipe without holding any mana up. For us, Emissary of Soulfire would be solid in the deck. Emrakul's Messenger is also really, really nice. I think these cards are both pretty on par, but Emissary is a little bit more likely to wheel. So we'll take the Messenger first. If we don't get the Emissary back, it's a little sad, but we're getting a card that's basically just as high quality. the 2-mana flyer on curve. And again, this way is much more likely to end up with us getting both of the best cards in that pack than if we just lead with the blue-white card. Area Auxiliary is easily the best one here. These kind of decks love to just curve out and then slam a bunch of power on the board with the Auxiliary. It's 3 power in the sky, 2 +1/+1 counters. It's 5 power toughness total for 4. It's an excellent deal. Utter Insignificance is not terrible. It's pretty good in the Eldrazi decks that are running a lot of the landscapes for colorless sources, but without the colorless sources, it's really not that good. I've got 4 other removal spells that are all a little bit better than it in this deck. The Deem, the Double Charm, the Umbra. I think I'd rather just grab a 3rd Mandibular Kite. Even though most of my creatures actually already have flying, so this is not the best kite deck ever. It still feels better than the Utter Insignificance. Sadly, I have to say that card would feel utterly insignificant in this deck. Here's a Solstice Zealot. Ooh, Static Prison, let's go. Super efficient removal. It is tempo removal. It's not going to keep the card exiled forever in most cases, because it's not like we have infinite energy production, but it keeps it exiled long enough for us to try to finish the game before then, because we are a more aggressive archetype. This card's better the more aggressive you are, and it's better the more energy prevalent you are. Another Riddlegate Gargoyle is great. Pick 6 is definitely too late to try to wheel it, and it is far better in the deck than Slither Mandibular Kite copy 4. Speaking of Mandibular Kite copy 4, here it is. Grab Electrozoa. We did go ahead and wheel that Emissary. Pop that in here. Got another Dog Umbra as well. The flexibility of Dog Umbra is you can slap it on your own creature to protect it from removal. If it's damage based or like destroy target creature, make it so instead of destroying the creature, you destroy the Dog Umbra, which is cute. Well, it does look like it would have worked out pretty well if we took a couple of the random cards to help fix red, because getting a Scurry of Gremlins to splash would be pretty sick. But then our deck would look basically identical to the last deck, so maybe it's okay, all things considered. This deck did end up a little bit different. Okay, we are on 17 creatures plus 4 kite, so 21 creatures. Let's cut 4 of those and be on a 17 creature pretty aggressive deck. With 4 Mandibular Kite, even if I cut a couple, I think we cut a few of our flyers, like the most filler flyers, the Electrozoas that we have to keep paying energy into. We used these in our last deck as well that didn't have Mandibular Kites, and they did end up costing us quite a bit of energy in the late game. That was a bit awkward. And then like Inventor's pretty first. We can cut like these 3 and then like a 1-of kite. Still have 3 1-drops and still curve out and do some good stuff here. The Guardian of the Forgotten seems decent in a deck that has, you know, triple Mandibular Kite, the Auxiliary to put counters wherever we want. The Emissary of Soulfire also modifies whatever creature we want, because we're putting an Exalted counter onto any creature that we want to put the counter onto. Just so that, you know, whatever creature's attacking gets +1/+1, regardless of where we put the Exalted counter. So the Exalted counter obviously giving us that modified creature. Proliferating Exalted counters could be fun. Evangel's going to be real fun in this deck. Yeah, I think it's a 1 kite, double Electrozoa Inventor for the creature cuts. And then 2 spells. Probably the Dog Umbers. Seems fine. I mean, they do modify our creatures again with that Guardian, but we've got the 1-of Guardian, so we'll need to build all around that card, and these all just seem more better, more good. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it just seems like better pieces of interaction than Dog Umbers. I could cut a land. This is not a crazy deck to cut a land here. The curve stops at 4, and there's 2 4-drops. This is a 3-mana removal spell as well. Yeah, no, we'll cut a land and 1 Dog Umbra. Call it a deck like that. 20 white spells, 9 blue. Jeebus. I do really want to play Gargoyles turn 2 consistently, which makes me want to go 8-8 split, but I mean, any opening hand that doesn't have a plains in it is like basically unkeepable. So it feels like planes are really important. I think I'm going to 9-7 it, and we just won't be able to turn 2 Gargoyle as often. But we'll have to mulligan a lot less often because we'll have white sources in the opener more often by being 9-7 than 8-8. Alright, yeah. We'll call it a deck there, hop in the gameplay, and see how far the second blue-white deck in a row can take us. And I guess the final blue-white draft deck, as starting tomorrow, will be the Arena Direct. We'll be playing all sealed from now on. Alright, here we are on the draw for game 1. That is a 1-lander. It's got to be a mulligan there. That's a mono blue hand. Well, a little awkward, but we keep this rather than going down to 5. We get to start with Emrakul's Messenger and hold the spike up. Draw 1 white source and then everything's castable. Our first draw was a 4th island. Because again, we put 1 on the bottom. So we've seen 4 islands before the second white, and we're on a 9... It's 9-7 split, I believe, in white's favor. Yeah, there's 9 planes left and only 4 islands left now. Drew another white spell again. Our opponent's curving out with an Etched Slith on the play. So with the menace and getting bigger and bigger over time, cards even scarier on the play. There's another white spell off the top. Our opponent has found their second color, their green-black. Third white spell in a row. They're just going to get rid of this energy with the Slith anyway, but might as well keep it. 4 white spells in a row. And that's Magic the Gathering. Alright, here we are on the play for game 2. This time a 3-land opener with both the colors. Gets to go Gargoyle into Zealots to start this game off. Could be a mirror match here. They've got the Jeskai Evolving Wilds. Red white, there's Amped Raptor, one of the strongest uncommons in the set. Luckily they hit a 5-mana spell off of it, so just a 2/1 first strike. So we dodged a bullet there, because what's so strong about this is that by itself, just turn 2, you get to play a 2/1 first strike and another 2-drop. Like if they exiled the Riddlegate Gargoyle off that, that would just be horrific for us. On turn 2, 2 mana for a 2/1 first strike and a 2/2 flyer that gives them energy. It'd be really gnarly. Sure. And throw a combat trick at Zealot. Amped Raptor into Scurry of Gremlins. Well, we saw the lower end of what Raptor can do, and then we saw Magical Christmas Land of what Amped Raptor can do. I can blow up the Scurry just to stop them from getting the haste triggers, but they still got the Gremlins out of it, they still got all the energy out of it. I'm just monumentally behind no matter what I do. If I spend everything in my hand, I can deal with their current board state, have 0 cards left, and they still have 4 cards to dump out. I honestly don't see even the slightest chance of victory after Amped Raptor and a Scurry of Gremlins. But I'll still play it out here. Feel like just about our only bet is if somehow they don't have a lot of follow through and just the lifelinking swings from Gremlin can just barely try to outrace them here. It's highly, highly unlikely. That was just an absurd hit. Okay. Game 3. Oh! Alright, here we are on the play for game number 3. We got a full curve out on this one. Kite into either 2-drop into an Emissary of Soulfire. I think I'd like to lead with the Slith here. Ooh, we draw a Gargoyle as well. I'd still like to lead with the Slith, since it gets a counter turn over turn. And if we hit that land to play Emissary on 3, we don't have to spend energy to give this first strike if we just use the energy to get enough Exalted to get the toughness out of reach of whatever their creature's power is. So I would love to draw land here, but if I don't, we've got multiple different good flying threats still. Nightshade Dryad is their play. Be perfectly reasonable to just shoot the Mana Dork immediately against Eldrazi colors. But if I go Emissary now, if I can hit land 4, I could double spell a creature and blow up Dryad in the same turn. I'm not gonna, I think, Exalted here, because I can already just attack into the Dryad, and the trade is already just good against this color pair. Okay, so play the Flyer, or play the Thraben Charm. I think I'm just going to keep them off mana here. That's just a very threatening color in the higher mana values. Propagator Drone. Tap land. No land 4. I can prison the drone though, that's not bad. Boop that. Flop Gargoyle. And that prison lasts like 7 turns now if we need it to. And Brood Scale. Land number 4. They can just adapt the Brood Scale of a 3/3 and a 1/1. Not a 1/1, a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn. It's an extra mana for next turn. Super fine. Obviously pay that. chunk up a million flying damage here. Could also just move the kite to the slith. It's honestly pretty cracked right now. No need to gain any life here. We're already handedly winning the race. I'm going to save all that energy to maximize exalted counters. We try to finish them off those. Say they blow up the slith, then we go emissary and just get enough exalted counters to one-shot them with gargoyle instead. That's gross. Gigantic reach blocker. Yeah, I mean, we would win immediately if they just had like a removal spell instead of chunking up the brood scale with reach. Now we just make the slith big enough to attack into the brood scale without... Oh. Now we just top deck removal. If we didn't top deck that removal, we still had a pretty good plan here. We could play the emissary, and then just exalted enough to get this to where it attacks with 7 toughness into the 6 power creature. So we could attack in, eat that Umbra, and then kill them the turn after that if they don't find another way to stop the flyers. But there you go, break through the very quick loss streak to start us off. Get at least one victory here. We're 1-2 heading into game 4 after how rough those first couple games were. I will take whatever I can get here. This is another very rough opener, but it has 3 castable spells off blue alone this time, which is better than our Mold to 6 game 1 at least. I feel like at this rate we're just going to play against all of the best cards in the whole set by the end of this one. Turn 1, Guide of Souls. Okay, at least Hydra Trainer's generally pretty bad. The Raven Charm, the guide here. And deem it. Don't mind deeming it, because I can double spell a charm and a spike a lot easier in the future. Evolution Witness. And blow that up before it can pick anything up from their grave. Drew another land here. We definitely need to hit some gas. All we have is interaction right now. Well, this thing does adapt into being 3 toughness. That's awkward. I miscounted that. So I can't actually charm it. That could actually just cost us the game here, because we're just not hitting anything relevant. It's only 2 mana to adapt the witness, so if I charm the guide, they can adapt the witness to pick it up. So I can go charm the guide, and when they try to adapt the witness, I respond by blowing up the witness as well. If they have removal for my one creature, we just have no shot of winning this game at any point. Because just blank all of our charms. Okay, they're gonna wait till we're tapped out to try to use the witness. Even if I put, this is an example of one of the cards where even if I put Dog Umbra on that, it still lets them recast cards from their grave by discarding a land. Trade Dog Umbra for this 1/1 flyer on an attack here. Feels better to just throw it on the Hex Gold Slith though. Because once Auxiliary is out, the 1/1 flyer doesn't matter much. I block, they just adapt. Eat the flyer without losing a creature. What a draw. What a draw. Exile the token. Also exile the kites. If I just exile the token, I can even just sack the prison and that's fine. Which means I can spend all my mana, all my energy on lifelink here. They could spend all of their mana to have one of these up as a flying blocker, take 6, go to 1 from everybody else. Okay, that's still take 6, go to 1. Problem with this is that now it's take 6, go to 1, and they get to equip the kite to somebody else to have 2 blockers for our 2 flying attackers, but they're dead to any removal spell drawn. So we still go for it. Okay, there are a lot of lethal draws here. That's probably overstating it. There's not a lot of them. We have used most of our removal we actually drew. Yeah, because our opening hand was like all removal. We probably only have like 1 lethal draw then. I mean, they had Hydra plus Auxiliary plus Kite here, so I don't really think there was a much better alternate line to this. We probably would have won the game if we went for the charm earlier on the Evolution Witness. Oh, I just literally have lethal there anyway. It doesn't matter what my top decks are. Yeah, we ended a single damage from lethal. So I think if we charmed the evolution witness earlier before passing to them, I passed to them because I thought our charm would be big enough to kill it in response to the adapt, and we'd be able to get them to adapt it and have the extra mana to blow it up, but our charm is not big enough to kill it through an adapt. And they just had the mana up for the adapt still. Yeah, that played out really awkwardly. We needed to kill this before we passed back to them, and then that would have made our... I mean, we still didn't draw a second creature for quite some time, so I don't actually know if we would have gotten damage in faster. But we would have cast the rest of our hand quicker, the rest of our removal. So we probably would have gotten at least one extra point of damage in somewhere there for them to just be dead there. So that was probably self-imposed. Just not realizing the charm did not line up well into the evolution witness. I also probably just instinctually thought that the charm would do more damage because I'm so used to having 2 or 3 creatures on board. Having just that single creature in the opener was so awkward. Made that charm really bad, and I needed to keep that in mind. Really glad I held the counter up when I did against the 6. But yeah, the big play was not killing that witness a lot earlier. Probably could have gotten the win there, but the first 2 losses. Magic the Gathering.exe. Alright, 1-3 it is. We were overdue for a losing run here. All average runs in a 5-3 so far on Modern Horizons, so let's just get this abysmal luck out of the way in a Premier Draft rather than the Arena Direct here. Those first 2 games were absolutely terrible. I don't really think there's any other way to put it. We kept, 2-lander, I believe. That was double island and like 2 castable blue spells. Just needed any white source. I think we had Demon Fear in that hand as well, right? So it's like 3 castable spells off of any land we draw on, and we get the white source to play the white spells and we'll be good. We hit another blue source, and then we hit exclusively white spells. So that was pretty terrible, but that's going to happen. And our other loss, double Amped Raptor, Scurry of Gremlins, Flage. And that's Magic for you. So first 2 losses were brutal, but the third one, definite misplay with the Thraben Charm. Just misremembered how big that Evolving Witness could get. And then there was also the fact that it was like turn 4, right? So I figured they were really unlikely to even hold the mana up to adapt it without anything to bring back in their grave anyway, and then they just did. They had a 2-drop to where even though they had nothing to get back from grave, if I tried to charm that, they'd just keep the creature on board, so it just played out really awkwardly for us. So one punt there definitely cost the whole game. I think the rest of the curve outs and everything was fine, but that's where we probably played too slow to get just that 1 extra point of damage we would have needed. Alright, is what it is. Overdue for a poor run like this. We'll get that out of the way before the Arena Directs starting tomorrow. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.